which is an absolute honor. And we'll get more into that later. First, there's a couple of things. First of all, on your seats, about every other seat, I believe, you'll see my Special Memories of Tom card. Please take these and fill them out. It doesn't have to be appropriate. Just fill it out. And when you're done filling them out, there's a collection basket in the back. We'd really like to have these, and they will be put together and then put up at patrol headquarters here at Keystone, which is a great honor. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to the celebration of life for Mr. Tom Festa, a man who touched us all, sometimes inappropriately. And again, hey, Tolton, there's seats up front. He's not going to do it. We're going to begin this evening by introducing the Marine Honor Guard, and there are a couple asks for this. When the Honor Guard opens the flag, we would ask that everyone please stand up. And when they close the flag again, everyone may be seated. But without further ado, the Marine Honor Guard. You may be seated. Next, I would like to introduce Stephanie something. Koch? Stephanie, please come forward. Stephanie is the pastor of the Lord Mountain Church, where Tom and Linda frequented quite frequently.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Stephanie Koch, and yes, I am the pastor at Lord of the Mountains Lutheran Church up here in Dillon, and it is a privilege to be here tonight and to dedicate our time together. And Tom was a very, very long time member at Lord of the Mountains, much longer there than I have been, in fact. But at the memorial service that we had the evening after Tom died at the church, Linda told a story that I just asked her if I might repeat it. And that is that when Tom asked her for a second date, he said, "We'll go to church together." It is, even for a pastor, rather unusual to hear of that as a second date tradition. But the one thing that I wanted to point out to us tonight is that within our tradition we hold true that our life is a gift from God, but what we do with it is our gift back to God for it. And so as we tell the stories that are on your hearts and on your minds, I would like for you to think a little bit about how they were Tom's gift back to God, how he made you feel joy and happiness and coolness, and how he brought that to others, both with the ski patrol and in the other activities of his life. And so let us dedicate tonight's time to the memory of Tom and also to God in thanksgiving for the life that Tom had. Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy. Well, thank you all so much for being here. And I can't tell you what an incredible honor it is to have the opportunity to help guide the evening. Tom Festa, Tommy. Tom was my trainer. This was 22 years ago when I made one of the smartest decisions of my life, which was to become a ski patroller at Keystone. I started my career with Tom's foot in my backside. And as I think of really some of the greatest moments of my life, I think of my wedding, my children, my beautiful wife. And there's one that's in there, it's top 5, probably. My rookie year, Tom invited me up to the cook shack. And it was just Tom and I. And I just couldn't believe that here I was, sitting in this incredible man's kingdom. You know, we sat on the deck and we drank some beers, and Tom gave me some kind of advice on life, which I probably ignored. I got to sit in the log chair, and he took a picture of me, which is still in the cook shack. What an honor, what an amazing, incredible honor to have a man like Tom Festa think that I was something. That guided my life, changed my life, truly touched me in ways that to this day that I hold so dear and so true. I think of Tom all the time. We were out, actually Jeff Hill, I dragged Jeff Hill, who's now the director of mountain operations, into a work project the other day, and I pulled out my Leatherman and my Leatherman was given to me by Tom and has his name on it. So Tommy is out there working with us. So this is something that I wrote several years ago, and I want to pass this on to you. I'm not speaking to Tom because he knows this stuff. I'm speaking to you. This is called Find Your Strength. As a person who believes in compassion, decency, hard work, humor, and patience, you have a responsibility to this life. The world needs people with the strength to be happy, to believe in the possibility that we can focus our energy on living our lives, doing the best we can, forgiving ourselves, fighting for each other, fighting for peace within ourselves, and realizing that we are defined by our strength, defined by our passion and willingness to live without fear of failure, live without the constant criticism of our internal need to suffer, our never-ending desire to struggle. I challenge each of you to stand up to this life, to meet this life with pride, resolve, forgiveness, faith, strength, and humor. I challenge each of us to accept God's gift of life, to have faith in ourselves, to love each other, and to accept that our role in this life is to live. I challenge us to be curious before judgment, to be willing to treat ourselves with the same respect that we give others, to live our lives dedicated to the goal of love, realizing that in the end, it is all that will be standing. Remembering that courage is simply dancing in the face of challenge. So now I'd like to invite several people up to the stage to give their thoughts and remembrances of Tom. First of which is Tom Festa Jr.
All right, thanks all for coming. My dad, as you know, loved a good party. So I think this is a good party, right? Everybody? He was all about being positive. He was a people person, he loved people, and everything about him was being positive. What you may not have known was when he was a kid, he was a little mischievous. How would you like that? When he was about in 5th grade, my grandfather had about all he could take. So he said, all right, you're going to Catholic school. So here we go, first day Catholic school, he's got his little uniform on, his little tie. And he walks into the lobby, and in the lobby is this big statue of the Virgin Mary. So, something happened, and all of a sudden it's on the floor in 1,000 pieces. So the nun takes him by the ear and brings him to the principal's office, and in his words he said, "I just touched it." So that was nevertheless his first and last day in Catholic school. So then my grandfather said, all right, we're shipping you upstate to Jeffersonville. You're going to live on a farm with an old German couple. And so him and my uncle, who was 4 years younger than him, went up to upstate. Now, my dad, I don't know if any of you have ever driven with him. His theory about driving was that the speed limit was for everybody else so that he could go 30 or 40 miles faster than them and they wouldn't get in his way. So he's 13, 14 years old, and they're on a farm. They're slaughtering pigs, making sausage, they're milking cows, churning butter, they're selling eggs. So he's in a 1940 Ford truck, and it's all broken down. They've got a hook and eye to hold the passenger side door open, or closed, rather. So my uncle and them had to deliver some butter that they make to a farmer down the road. So my father gets in to drive, my uncle's sitting on the passenger seat with this 5-pound package of butter there. that they just made, so it's all soft. Latch the hook and eye, and they go down the road. Well, as my father drives fast, they go around a turn. My uncle, in a sitting position, slides right out the door, boom, onto the ground. Butter all over the place. My dad runs over there, doesn't worry about my uncle, grabs the butter and starts putting it together, pulls all the twigs and weeds out of it, and says, "Don't tell anybody, don't tell Tom." You know, so that's, you know, basically how he started his driving career, I guess. He graduated high school from Jeffersonville High School, and rumor has it, I didn't meet the person, but there was somebody here that went to high school with him? Is there somebody here? Oh, I heard a rumor, I don't know, I guess it's a false rumor. He was always proud of the fact that he graduated 23rd in his class out of the 23rd. But one of my earliest memories of my dad was, I was probably 4 years old or so, getting my first haircut. So, you know, we go to the barber shop, and, you know, I get my haircut, you know, okay, big deal. So I'm sitting down, now it's his turn. So he gets in the barber's chair, he's got a little apron on him, and all of a sudden now, he's grabbing a water bottle, now he's chasing the barber around the chair. Now the barber grabs a water bottle, he's chasing him, they go out the door, down Main Street, my father running down the street with the apron on, and the barber chasing him. And he later became a politician, that barber. But my dad did things in everyday life, just the most mundane things, he turned into an event. You know, and that's just the way he lived. He just, like, everything he did was an event, was to have fun, was to make people laugh. He loved people, and he just, you know, was very positive about everything. Even later on, the last few years, you know, his dementia was taking hold of him. He's in Lakewood Villa. He still, even though he was someone in his own world, he still had his personality. He still had that inside of him. You know, he'd just be in his own world, and then all of a sudden would just start laughing. And you kind of figure he's thinking about a joke he told, or a story he told, or maybe some time he spent with some of you guys doing something crazy. You know, so he had that humor about him. And he would even, you know, you'd have a bunch of people in the TV room sitting in a wheelchair, and he'd just come by and grab a wheelchair and start rolling an old lady down the hall, and he'd go, stop, give me that. Or he'd go down the hall, and the emergency exit, he'd have an alarm on it, so he'd open the door, and the alarm would go off, and all the staff would come running, and, you know, they'd close the door, reset the alarm, no, Tommy, don't do that, okay? So he'd walk down the hall, they'd all leave. And he'd do that 5 or 6 times, you know, I mean, just, it was in him right to the very end. So, you know, you talk about people that live a full life, you know, guys like Steve Jobs or Richard Branson, but my dad lived the fullest life out of anybody I've ever heard of. I mean, he, in his 82 years, he packed 250 years in there. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, you know, we've got tonight is a celebration of his life. So let's all be happy, be positive, and celebrate. Let's go.
Yeah, we were talking about how long it took Tom to finally get out of here. And we figured it was all the different subjects of his jokes, like Mrs. Murphy and a couple from Wisconsin, and they all had to get them together up there to welcome Tom. So, next, I'd like to introduce Rick Clark. And Rick is a former patroller from Bel Air Mountain, New York, who now lives in Pueblo.
Thank you very much. I'm not surprised at all. I don't think anybody in this room is surprised at all. There's probably 200 people here, and Tom's not even here. I think he is here. He may not be here physically, mentally, but in spirit, Tom is here and having just as much fun as us, or more. He had fun no matter what he did, where he went, and Thomas related to that an awful lot. A lot of people here in this room, I watched them in the reception area having appetizers. Everybody knows everybody very well. Small community, everybody knows each other. They're saying, who's this Rick guy? He never worked in Summit County, never worked at A Basin, never worked at Keystone. I've got the honor and the pleasure to have known Tom for over 40 years. I met Tom when I was a young teenager. We connected very, very quickly. He recognized me and my enthusiasm and my energy and took me on under his wings as a junior patroller at Bel Air Mountain. I skied with him at Hunter Mountain, Wyndham Mountain, and we connected very quickly. I remember the first sled he taught me to run, and I knew right away I needed to be a full-time ski patroller sometime in my life. It was very rewarding, very energizing to be able to do that. And I spent a lot of time with him. We made many runs early in the morning. We called them milk runs. In fact, Tina was a participant many times in milk runs early in the morning. We would get there 6:30 in the morning, and we get to the top of the mountain early, and we had Bel Air run and Wanatuska to go. And for some reason, every time that we did that run, it's Rick, you take the left side of the trail, and I'll take the right side of the trail. And every morning we did a milk run, for some reason, I always got the left side, and he got the right side. And as we skied down, doing the milk run in the morning, checking out the slope for hazards, so on and so forth, we kept on seeing, you kept on looking over his left shoulder and seeing how I was doing. I was young, but strong and athletic. When we got down to the bottom, off we went on. This went on for several years, and he moved on here to the west. And later on in the years, I met Tom up here in Summit County because I moved out here to Pueblo and I'd come up here to visit. And I'd be at the Arapaho Cafe, it is down here in Dillon. And he'd be meeting some of you guys out here and say, hey, I gotta tell you about this guy, Rick Clark. He's a great skier. Back 20 years ago, when we did milk runs, we'd go to the top of Bel Air Run in Wanatuska, and I would take the left side of the slope, and he would take the right side of the slope. And man, he was good because the left side of the slope is where all the garbage came out of those snow machines. It was all mud and junk. And over the right side of the slope, that's where it's all soft and silky and all works. And man, he could ski through that crap really good. Back in those early days, when I first met him and he got me going on the junior ski patrol aspect, Bel Air Mountain wasn't structured to do junior ski patrolling for whatever logistic reasons. And he took me under his wings, and the ski patrol ran under CB radios, citizen band radios, big walkie-talkies with big extendable antennas, and we had channel 11, and all the ski patrol guys had their own assigned numbers, and he was 5-0, and he wanted me to have a number 2, he gave me a radio, I was 500, and he gave me assignments, 5-0 to 500, go to the top of